This is Dom Chambers from America's Got Talent, and you are listening to the Man Cave Chronicles podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Man Cave Chronicles.
Welcome to the party, pal!
You're my boy, Blue!
Yo, Adrian!
A podcast with interviews of amazing guests from the world of pop culture.
Oh, yeah!
TV.
Nice!
Movies.
Oh, I love the movies!
Comedy and more. From deep inside the Man Cave, your host, Elias.
Dom, welcome to the cave.
Thank you very much. Good to be in the cave. This is a nice, cozy cave you have here.
There you go. How are you?
Good to be a part of it.
How are you, my friend? Thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. This is really exciting.
Yeah. Now, for the listeners, right? You're calling from Australia right now, right?
Yeah, I'm in Australia. I'm Melbourne, Australia. So it's it's morning over here. It's evening over there for you. So, calling in from sunny Melbourne, Australia.
There you go. So we recently saw you in America's Got Talent, and you made it all the way to the semifinals, and we'll talk about that. And I mean, I was rooting for you, my friend. I always root for magicians and comedians, and this was one of the first seasons that we didn't see a magician in the finals.
Yeah, we let you down. We didn't pull it off. Oh man.
I didn't understand the voting this year with people.
I think there was a lot of good acts, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really,
You're right.
really good acts, a lot
You're
of really
right.
popular acts. So, yeah, no, but I was obviously happy with how far I got in the show. Really, went in with, to be honest, not a huge amount of expectations in terms of, I just really didn't know how people were going to respond to the sort of magic I did. And I thought, maybe I would get past my audition, maybe I'd get past another round, but to get through the semi-final was, really beyond what I had ever really imagined going into the show. So, I wasn't leaving disappointed that I didn't make the final.
Yeah. So I want the listeners to get a little bit more about you. Where are you originally from? You originally from Australia?
Yeah, I was born in England, lived a few years there, moved to Australia when I was like 4. So, I'm Australian through and through.
Yeah. What was the big move? What caused you to move from England to Australia?
I was just a young kid and just had to follow my parents. It's like that.
Yeah.
when you're 4 years old, you don't have a say.
You're right
go where
about
your
that.
parents go.
Yeah. As a kid, what were you into growing up?
I was into sports. I love sports. And magic. Magic was, I got into magic really young. So, I've always been into that. But other than that, sports, TV, movies.
How old were you when you got introduced to magic, and how did that happen?
Yeah, so it was actually part of my early AGT story. I think they spoke about it in maybe the pre-package to my audition. I was 6-year-old kid going to magic. My granddad taught me magic, which is a pretty common story. In magic, it's often a relative, you got an uncle or a dad or a grandparent. For me, it was my granddad. He taught me magic when I was just 6-year-old kid, and that was it.
Was your grandfather a big time magician?
No, he wasn't.
No,
he wasn't at all. That's the crazy thing. He actually wasn't even a magician. He actually wanted to connect with his grandkids. That was his goal, and he wanted to find a way to do that. I think he was a bit unsure about how to relate to young kids. So he decided to learn a skill that he was going to teach us, and that skill that he chose was magic. So I'm really lucky that happened.
Wow. Well, now where did he learn magic from? Just on his own?
Yeah, I think he had a few sources. I think he was living in England, so became a member of the Magic Circle. Have you heard of the Magic Circle?
I've heard there's a magic club that out here in the U.S. that you could be a member of. Is that similar to that?
Oh, the Magic Castle. Yeah, so we've got the Magic Castle in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I'd say there's definitely some similarities between the circle and the castle for sure. So he went and joined the club, learned from other magicians. Went to a few some magic classes for adults, for beginning adults, and I think that was where he found his feet.
Wow. So now, when did you realize that this is what you wanted to do when you got older?
Man, I think I still haven't realized that, to be honest. I don't know. It's weird. There's never been a moment. It's just been there. It's just been a thing that I've done and always done and have enjoyed doing and have just followed where it's taken me. There's never been a moment where I really said, I don't think there was really a moment where I was this is what I want to do when I grow up. I'm going to be a world famous magician. There was never really any of that.
Yeah.
sort of done what I love doing and followed my nose a little bit with it. And I've been lucky so far with where it's taken me.
Yeah. So how did you teach yourself magic, and how many hours a day did you spend working on the craft?
Man, it's okay. So how did I teach myself is the first question. Magic's an interesting thing because, I think a lot of people think that because, there's history of magic and secrets and, never reveal your secrets. And it's this, secretive art form where all the answers are locked up in chests. And it's not really the case. I wish it's kind of, quite a romantic idea, but it's not really the case. If you want to learn magic, you can learn magic. Now it's a lot easier. Magic lessons and tricks, I suppose, and books are a lot more accessible than they were when I was younger with the internet. But yeah, I think for me there's just a whole heap of different ways that I could learn and chose to learn. I think I read books. I think I brought a lot of books that taught magic. I learned from other magicians would release, would sort of they'd actually sell instructional videos on how to do magic, and that was basically my main methods were just watching instructional videos and reading books. And then I went to some magic classes as well. There was a magic school nearby that I went to and learned magic from. So yeah, it's just it's like one of those things. It's just another skill that you can learn if you really want to do it.
Wow. Now, was there somebody that you looked up to in the magic? I know you said your grandfather taught you, but was there a certain magician that you looked up to and that you wanted to model yourself after? I mean, I know your act is a little bit different than your normal magician because you use technology and of course beer and everything. But is there somebody that you look up to?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that sort of the people I've modeled myself on, they've definitely changed. When I was younger, when I was a kid, I used to love Chris Angel and David Blaine. They were the greatest magician. I just thought Chris Angel was the most amazing magician ever when I was, 12, 13. He was just doing stuff that I'd never seen before. That was really, really cool. I think now, I think it's hard to go past. I mean, actually a lot of magicians that I've learned from in Australia who are now my best friends, they're definitely my idols and the people who I learned from and model myself on. I could give you names, but they probably wouldn't be. They're not necessarily known names. But also, some of the big name magicians that I idolize. Penn and Teller. I think Penn and Teller are two of the greatest of all. Actually, they are the two greatest magicians of all time. The fact that they do perform magic that's funny, it's entertaining, it's engaging, and it's original and it has substance. I find that really important and something that I like to try and put into my own work.
Yeah. Speaking of Penn and Teller, you were on the show Fool Us in 2018. Tell us about that and the experience of that.
Yeah, this was awesome. This is my first sort of really big TV opportunity. Yeah. Oh man, this is crazy. So I was a fan of the show for a while, and it was always a bit of a dream to get on that show. It is most magicians' dreams. And yeah, I got to go on the show and perform for those two legends, my little beer routine. And that was basically the start of everything that's happened in the last couple of years for me. That was the sort of launching point of everything.
Yeah. When you were on the show, were you able to fool them?
I didn't. I did not fool them. But I basically often say that I think it's when people ask me whether I fooled Penn and Teller, I tell them that I didn't. When I go on the show and I tell people that I didn't fool, people ask me whether I went on the show, whether I fooled them, and I say no, I didn't. And people are often, sorry to hear that, Dom. Sorry to hear that. I say no, it's okay. I think the opportunity of being on the show was really just that was my goal. I think there's also not necessarily fooling is not really important to me. I think, I want to go on there and do my most entertaining and ridiculous bit, and that's the bit that I did. And I think that just sort of, I think you can see that particular act was so well received by people. It kind of highlights how, unimportant the fooling aspect of that show can be.
Yeah. Do you still watch the show?
I haven't watched as much lately just because it's been so busy. Also, we don't have it over here in Australia. We have it on delay, so we're a couple of seasons behind. Okay. So I have to catch up. I know they put it out on, a lot of the acts make it on YouTube. But yeah, I'm a little bit behind on my Penn and Teller philosophy, if I'm honest with you.
So while you were in Australia, how did you decide you wanted to go and try out for AGT? And tell us the process of that.
Well, yeah, AGT was sort of directly from that sort of PNT, Penn and Teller performance. After that, it started getting that act started getting a little bit of attention from a few people, and someone from AGT called me up and asked whether I'd be interested in doing it on the show, and it was just an opportunity that was too big to turn down, really. So I said yes, and that was it. I was there a few months later. Well, it's actually about a year after the Penn and Teller thing. I was there on AGT performing sort of an updated version of that act.
Oh, wow. So how long did you practice your acts before you performed them in AGT?
That's a good question. There's a lot to unpack here, because when often people ask me firstly, in a general sense, when people ask the question, how long did it take to practice your magic? It's kind of a difficult question to answer, because it's sort of like it's sort of like asking a musician, how long did it take you to practice that song?
Yeah.
And there's no real. It's very difficult to answer that, because in a piece of magic, you're implementing techniques and methods and things that you've learned from years and years and years and years of practice. So whilst a guitarist might be able to pick up and nail a song, and experienced guitarists may be able to pick up and nail a song on their first try, it didn't mean that they didn't practice that per se. They've been practicing that their whole life. So it's hard to answer that question. How long did it take you to learn that trick? Well, I guess in a sense, since I was 6. But then it becomes interesting, because if you apply this directly to America's Got Talent is this crazy process. It's a really, really unique environment, especially performing magic, because you're really put under the pump. There are incredible time constraints. The first 2 auditions can be very well planned out. You've got a lot of time to get them ready and ready to go on TV. There's a lot of time beforehand between each round. Then when you hit the live rounds, there's only a couple of weeks, or in some cases a single week in between rounds. So you have to have a brand new act that suits the show, that you've worked together, that the AGT producers are giving you the all clear on, and all that, with just only a week or 2 weeks. And that is a crazy challenge. And that was a challenge that I found. That was the situation I found myself in these last few AGT performances.
Wow. And I think on your second act, that was the one you had Tape Face appear, right?
That was my third act.
That was my third act. So your first one,
the Tape Face one.
So your first one was the beers.
That's right.
What was the second
one?
And
I had Siri, my magical assistant.
Right. Yes, that's right. Which, out of all those 3, which one did you enjoy doing the most?
I enjoyed all of them for different reasons. Yeah, the Tape Face one was wild, just because it was live and they had this mega audience at the Dolby, and it was a new piece. I'd created it specifically for the show, based on an old bit of mine. It was fun to have Tape Face as part of the show, and just the energy in that room was just beyond anything I'd experienced before. So that was great. But the beer routine, that's the bit that I've put the most work and effort into, and has been the fan favorite for the last couple of years. So probably those 2.
The one with the Tape Face, you had Simon all confused at the end of that act. He was speechless.
Yeah, I think that was definitely part of the reason it was so well received was Simon's response to that. That was great.
Yeah. Now, how much do you love beer? Since most of your acts that we've seen so far, it involves some kind of alcohol beverage.
Yeah, I do enjoy a beer. I'm not gonna lie, do enjoy a beer. Yeah. I suppose though, there's a reason behind that. It was kind of the whole beer thing. I stumbled upon by accident in terms of magic, but I do like to think that one of my philosophies in magic, this doesn't always apply because some of my routines, for example, the Tape Face one, do not necessarily comply with this philosophy. But I think it's, magic. I love magic. I've always loved magic, but I've always said that, I loved watching the old school magicians who would make endless jobs appear, right?
Yeah.
It's great. It's amazing to watch, but it's not very useful or relevant. It doesn't make any sense. Why would you make 20 doves appear. It's just a really surreal kind of idea. It doesn't make any sense. So I think it's important that if you're trying to perform contemporary magic, it's got to at least make a bit of sense. What would you do if you had magic powers? Would you make 20 doves appear? Probably not. Would you make 20 beers appear? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, I would do that. So that's just a little bit of the philosophy behind, I suppose, that routine and a lot of my routines.
Yeah. Plus, it makes magic more fun too, like because you're entertaining with the audience, and then like you could also do it as more of an adult thing too. You're at over 18 comedy club, and you could do something like that, and it involved beer and stuff like that too.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that that people got excited over the beer, to be honest.
Yeah. What's the most rewarding part of being a magician and performing?
That's a really good question. What is the most rewarding part of being a magician? I think a lot of people would say, there's actually quite a cliche answer to this question, and I'm not going to use that answer. The cliche answer is, the look on the spectator's face, and it's the way that people's eyes light up when they see a magic trick. And don't get me wrong, it's amazing. It's amazing. I think, there's definitely something really, really wonderful about the experience of a magic trick. I don't know if that's for me, if that's the reason I do it. I think I'd be lying if I said that was it. For me, the rewarding thing is, I think it's just I'm a fan of creating and of just being able to sort of complete the creative process, being able to start with an idea, being able to work on something, and I think magic's really unique in that it gives me the ability to sort of create in so many different ways, to write, to physically build and construct, to learn the physical dexterity and the choreography and the moves behind things, and then and telling jokes, and then being able to perform it and see the result of it. Yeah. That for me thing is just being able to get to the end of that process. I think magic there's so much involved in the creative process of magic, more than I would imagine a lot of other performing arts, and that's the thing that I get a great kick out of.
Interesting. Now, behind the scenes of AGT, did any of the judge give you any, any, like, what's the word I'm looking for here? Advice or anything for your future?
Not advice per se, but I did get the chance to chat to a few of the judges. It's a very busy show. There's not a lot of time where you're sitting around, and the judges always, you kept quite separate because it is a competition as well. But I did actually see Howie a lot around the place, and Howie is such a nice guy. He's a really, really nice guy. And he was also a fan of mine, and he was just would often come up to me and tell me that he was a fan and to keep doing what I was doing, and he really believed in me and thought that I was going to make it, and that was really, really cool to hear from a legend who has literally seen so much talent in so many performances, but to hear that he actually cares about what I do was really cool.
Yeah. So now what's your plans now? What's your future hold?
That's a good question, Elias. It's a great question. Again, like I said before, I think I've just been following my nose. And I think I'm going to continue to do so long as it's fun and I'm enjoying it. Yeah. I've just announced some really exciting news that I'm going to be on the Broadway cast of The Illusionist this holiday season, which it's crazy. I'm still wrapping my head around that thought. Another cliche. It's every performer's dream to perform on Broadway, but it's true. It really is. So that's the next thing that I'm excited about.
I did see that earlier today. I was gonna ask you about it, and you and Erica from AGT joined it also.
Yeah, and I just found that out too, which was really exciting. Me and Eric got really close over the AGT period, so it's going to be really cool to spend some more time with him and some other friends that I have in that show.
Now, the Illusionists, they usually travel, they tour throughout the U.S. too. Is that going to be something that's going to tour over the U.S., or is this staying at Broadway for now?
Yeah, this particular show is just a Broadway show. But I hope there's a possibility it may, open up the opportunity to join one of their touring shows as well. Who knows?
Yeah. Now, Any plans of doing like a U.S. tour down the road, or?
I would love to.
Yeah.
I would absolutely love to. Yeah. So I've got a few things, a few discussions happening. I'm definitely gonna be considering that. I would love to continue to perform in the US. I had such a good time doing it with America's Got Talent. So I'd love to do more performing up there.
So the listeners, how can they find you on social media?
I am Dom J Chambers on Instagram and Twitter. Not very active on Twitter. Got to get better at my Twitter. But you can find me on both of those. Also on Facebook, Dom Chambers Magic. I post occasionally. We'll post some videos. I've got to get more. I've got to get better at doing that consistently. But yeah, you can find me on all of those social media pages.
All right, Dom. This was fun. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks so much for having me. Cheers. I really appreciate that.